I don't know, you're looking at me like you just got things like failed test or something.
Do you have any tissues?
Don't. Brown paper towel's the best I have. Alright, if y'all did not get in the homework number 97, you need to get that turned in so you don't get counted late. That was the curve sketching that we did. Or not curve sketching, slope fields.
Oh, you don't have a button up today. Oh, because it's like picture day or something? For teachers? Is that? No. They're taking pictures for clubs, I know. Not clubs.
I
Fun
never
Fridays.
wear a button up on Fridays.
Okay, don't gaslight me like this. I feel like you've worn a button up like every
Put
Friday.
your name on this paper.
Oh,
Staple it.
can I borrow this?
Yes.
So what's your plan for spring break? Taking the wife on a cruise?
I wish.
Oh, make sure your name's on it. Okay, making sure. Hey, it's good to make sure.
Alright, so after we finished our tests last class, we did this stuff on slope fields. And I had told you that this is really about one of 3 topics that we would do in this section. Much, much, much less in this unit, which is what I think makes this the easiest unit. So we are going to completely finish off the second topic, which is on exponential growth and decay type questions. That's 99 that you picked up today. And the other one, 98, we're only going to do a couple of questions from that. So to make sure you understand what my plan is here, the only reason we're going to do a couple from number 98 is that is going to be the most difficult part of this unit. It's the one that takes the most practice. So by doing a couple today, I'm just trying to expose you to it, let your brain kind of see the overall process, and then next week we will practice it more in depth. But the main thing we're going to look at today is the exponential growth and decay stuff. Alright, so as you guys have already done a few times, when it says solve a differential equation, it's really asking you to try to find out what the original equation was. What is y equal to? The process that we need to do, practice to be able to do this, is called separation of variables. So it's got like anywhere from about 5 steps to about 9 steps, which is why we need to practice it in multiple class periods. But again, for today, we're going to just look at a couple, get a general idea of what the process is, so that when we do it again next week, it won't be 100% new to you. I should also probably add that of all the stuff we do second semester, I would say this is probably the second most important. First most important was U substitution. The reason why this I would say is the second most important is when it shows up on FRQs, and it usually does, being able to do this is often 5 or 6 of the 9 points on an FRQ. So being able to do it automatically bumps your score up way higher. Okay, so the first step in these, Well, remember when it says general solution, that means we're going to have a plus c in our answer. But the name should give you the hint to the first step, separation of variables. I need to rearrange this stuff so that all the x stuff is on one side and all the y stuff is on the other side. So this guy is not really a fraction, but we can treat him like a fraction. So the first thing we would do is multiply both sides by dx. That puts it over to the right and cancels it out to the left. And multiply both sides by y squared. That's referred to as the separation of variables. I multiplied both sides by y squared to get all the y stuff on the left, and I multiplied both sides by dx to get all the x stuff on the right. Once the variables have been separated, now we can integrate. I can integrate the left side as long as I'm willing to integrate the right side. That keeps our equation balanced. Now, of course, this can vary in difficulty. Sometimes it's going to be something we have memorized. Sometimes it's going to be undoing the power rule. But sometimes we might have to do u substitution for one of them. So this varies in difficulty. But notice why this is important. This is defining it as dy, so it's good that there's y stuff here. This is dx, so it's good that there's x stuff here. So let's raise the power by 1, divide by the new power. Raise the power by 1, divide by the new power. And what did I skip over? Right. Technically, there should be a plus c here and a plus c here. But and they're probably different c's. So maybe c1 and c2. But if I subtract this over, an unknown number minus an unknown number is still an unknown number. So generally, we just put it down once. But you have to remember that. So again, we're only going to do a couple today, but eventually in this unit, when we look at FRQs and I showed the scoring to you, I was looking at one just earlier today. I don't have it in front of me, but your score on your FRQ is heavily penalized if you forget the plus C. Okay, and now the calculus is over. I just want to solve this for y equals, so I can multiply everything by 3. What about this? You think I should call this 3c? All right, we'll just call it c, because 3 times an unknown number is still an unknown number, so we might as well call it c. To be clear, these are not the same c. So sometime in your math career, you might have someone call this like c1 and this is c2. They're not the exact same number, but you don't have to do that for us. This one's 3 times bigger than that one. And then to get rid of a cube, we could cube root both sides. So I separated the variables so that I could integrate both sides, and then I solved for y equals. So it's not that this will have a couple algebra things that we need to introduce on some of the harder questions, but for the most part, you guys have seen all of this stuff. You've manipulated equations before, you've integrated before, you've done the plus c before, you've solved for y equals before. It's mostly just plugging those pieces in together. Okay, let's look at one more like this. Let's look at question 2, and then we'll look at one more on the bottom part, and then we won't worry about this stuff again until next week. So before I can integrate both sides of this, I need to separate the variables. So let's multiply both sides by 2y cubed. That gets all the y stuff on one side. And multiply both sides by dx. That gets all the x stuff on one side. The purpose of this method, separating the variables, is now since there's only y stuff on the left, it makes it easy to integrate. It makes the right side easy to integrate because it's only x stuff. And to integrate one side, you have to integrate the other side. You got to keep it balanced. So we could raise the power by 1, divide by the new power. Raise by power by 1, divide by the new power. Raise the power by 1, divide by the new power. And don't forget your plus c. You don't have to put plus c on both sides, but you do have to put it down at least once, on the left or the right, whatever you prefer. And again, some of these questions are going to be harder to solve for y equals, but this one's pretty fair, I think. We can multiply everything by 2. I'm still going to call this c because the unknown number times 2 is still an unknown number. So, and to get rid of the fourth, we could take the fourth root. So, what we're finding here, this equation has this as a derivative. Separate, integrate, solve for y equals. Okay, let's go down and let's look at one of the ones where it's not a general solution. General solution is where you just have to throw on the plus c somewhere. We don't have the information to solve for c, so the plus c sticks around. But let's look at just one more today where we can do a particular solution because we have enough information that we can solve for c. Now, this makes the questions a little bit longer, a little bit easier to make mistakes on, but generally it's still the same idea. So, I guess the first thing I would say here on question 8 is remember y prime is the same thing as dy dx. It's just two different ways to say the same thing. You probably want to switch it because you need to separate the variables. Okay, now to separate, I need to subtract over the square root of x. And I can multiply both sides by dx. So compared to the first two, the separating was a little bit harder. It's not new algebra or anything, it just wasn't as straightforward. So that's going to vary question to question. Okay, what did we do after we separated the variables? One more time. Okay, we want to integrate both sides. So raise the power by 1, divide by the new power, raise the power by 1, divide by the new power. Don't forget your plus c. Okay, and now here's where this question type is going to take a little bit more work and works out a little bit differently. We should not leave this plus c because we have information that we can plug in and solve for c. So when x is 0, which would make all of this go to 0, y is supposed to be 3. So if I plug in 3 for y, this would be 2/3. That's 3 cubed and the square root of that. Or the square root of 3 cubed, however you want to think of that. So 3 cubed would be 27, and the square root of 27 is 3 square root of 3. So I can get those 3's to cancel. And now I can see c is 2 square roots of 3. c is 2 square roots of 3. Now, one thing that you'll have to be careful about when we practice this a lot next week is wherever you start solving for c, you need to plug it back in there. What I mean by that is like these questions, I had a plus c here, and this was a different plus c here. So if I started solving for c here on this line and then plugged it in this line, those aren't the same c, so that wouldn't work. Wherever you start solving for c, plug that back in there. Okay, and then we need to finish solving for y. So we could multiply everything by 3 and divide everything by 2. multiply everything by 3 over 2 to get rid of that 2/3 next to the y. And I could square everything to get rid of the over 1/2. Square both sides. And finally, I could take the cube root of both sides. And actually, to take the cube root, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. To take the cube root is the same as raising to the 1/3. So again, don't worry about it. You don't need to feel like you have this under control or anything. Some of the questions will be even more complicated to solve, but the general idea of separating the variables so that you can integrate both sides, solve for C if you've got the information, don't solve for C if you don't have the information, and then solve for y equals. But again, we will practice that multiple class periods because that takes a while to get good at. I just want you to feel like you had seen it before, so it would be a little bit easier when we look at it on Monday. Okay, our main focus today though, because we've only got one class period for this, this is a type of problem that shows up on your AP exam, but not more than once or twice. So I'm going to talk about what this is related to how you've seen it in Algebra 2 and Pre-Calculus. I will show you what it looks like on the AP exam by showing you a practice question. And then I'm actually going to ask you to turn the page over and then do the back page, because the back page is quite a bit easier and it kind of builds you up to being able to do these AP level questions. And then when you finish that, you can come back to the front page and do the other 3 or 4 AP level questions. Okay, so first off, when to do this, there's 2 keys here. If it says y changes at a rate proportional to the amount present, or if it says dy dt is equal to ky, this is the same thing, that's how you know it's this question type. And they're writing the formula like this, but it's really the formula that you've learned in Algebra 2 and reviewed in Pre-Calculus called PERT, where you've got an amount of something is equal to the principal, which is the starting amount, times the number e to the exponent of RT, where t is number of years, or you have to be consistent at least, and r is the rate. The rate must be as a decimal. So if it's 5%, you wouldn't put a 5 in for r. If you put a 5 in for r, that means 500%. If you want 5%, you need it to be 0.05 for r. Okay, so let me show you what you're going to be building up to as you work through the back page by doing this one example. But this is what you need to be able to do by the end of class. Alright, bacteria in a certain culture increase at a rate proportional to the number present. So that's how I know this is a PERT type question. You're welcome to use the formula printed on the top of your page. It's basically the same thing. If the number of bacteria doubles in 3 hours, how many hours will the number of bacteria triple? Well, let's take this information. If the number of bacteria doubles, then let's pick a starting amount and an ending amount. But let's pick something as easy as possible because it doesn't matter. So let's say we start with 1 bacteria and we know something about when it doubles. So when it becomes 2 bacteria. So E is not a variable, E is a number. R is the rate. They didn't tell me the rate, but they told me it happens in 3 hours. So I'm going to plug in 3 for T. So now whenever I use T, the rest of this question, it means hours. So what this does is it gives me an equation that I can solve for the rate. So you have to remember some natural log stuff here. If you're solving for an exponent that's in the variable, our math trick here is to take the natural log of both sides You can start to see why the answers kind of look the way they look. And the reason you want to take the natural log of both sides is because if you have an exponent on something you're taking the log of, that exponent can come down out front. Natural log of v is just 1. So it looks like r, the rate, is the natural log of 2 over 3. So again, the questions on the back aren't going to keep going quite this long, but I did all of this just from this that's underlined in red. I took this information that they had and extracted the rate out of it. Plugged in, no matter what number of bacteria you start with, if you double it, your first step would be to divide both sides by that anyway, so it becomes 1 and 2. Just easier to start off to 1 and 2. But what they want me to answer is how long will it take the bacteria to triple? So on the AP level questions, you have to start PERT over second time. And let's say I start off with 1 bacteria. It's going to triple when it gets to 3 bacteria. And now I know the rate. So instead of saying R, I can say it is natural log of 2 over 3. I use that underlined red information to solve for the rate. And this time, I don't know what T is. But that's what they want me to figure out, how many hours. So now I need to finish solving this. So same natural log trick. It's the variable you're solving for is in the exponent. Take the natural log of both sides, because if it's an exponent on something you're taking the log of, that exponent can come down out front. Natural log of v is still 1. You guys probably don't remember anymore, but the first 2 days of school we reviewed natural log properties and gave you a quiz on that, so that wouldn't be as hard here. And if I'm trying to solve for t, I would like to multiply this side by 3 and divide the side by natural log of 2. You guys okay with how I'm going from this to this? Okay, well, there's the answer. Choice A. So, again, I don't want you to do the front page first. These questions are harder than the back page questions. The back page questions start off pretty easy and then kind of step it up in difficulty over the course of it. But then come back to the front page, and pretty much every time they ask it on the AP exam, it works out this way, where you have to use the PERT formula to solve for something, half the question, then you use that something, plug it back in, and do a PERT a second time to solve what they really wanted. Okay? So go ahead, flip it over and start on the back and see how it goes. Again, a lot of the questions on the back are very basic, but it will ramp up before you're done. There are questions on the back page that you will need a calculator for, yes. Sometimes it depends, like the example I did for you on the front page would definitely be no calculator. I can tell based on looking at the answers. But on the front page, the second, third, and fourth answers, since they're decimals and stuff, those would have been calculator allowed questions. So, but yes, you will need a calculator on some stuff on the back.
You got me.
I'm gonna join another table if you want people to work with. Same for you. If you want to join a different table, you're welcome to. If you want people to work with today.
Wait, how do you take 5 out? That's the last one. I know, but what do you, how should you,
It's like 5.
in the first place?
5 times 8 is even number.
So you got 2, oh,
10 times.
right. So you got LN2 divided by, did you get LN2 divided by 0.1? Okay, that's rather.
Uh-huh.
Can we leave it with E in the answer, or do you want to split it?
One more time.
Can we leave it with E in the answer, or do you want to start with
I still can't hear you.
Oh. Can we leave E in the answer?
If you want to. On the back. I just threw it in my calculator.
Oh. Very speaking. So do we also
Either way.
define percentages?
You can either say 0.116 or you could say 11.6%. So if you change it to percent, make sure you put percent sign.
Well, I wasn't asking you anything.
I should. I'm going to be reworking this back page too because I haven't done it since last year. But on the website, it should have the work with the answers if you want to check as you go along here.
Because we're missing there.
Again, the questions will step up in difficulty, so it might be good to make sure you're doing it correctly before you get too far into it.
Wait, it's 20,000 divided by 2. Yes, what's your right? 0.0. Say that. What are you talking about? 50 days? It's L2 over 0.2. Yeah.
So if you're trying to find initial mass, would T be 0 or 1?
0.
0.
Wait, I'm so confused. Initial. I don't understand. Wait, that's 0? Oh, because T is just 1. Oh, T is 0.
Uh-huh.
I have a question, but it's not really related to math, but it's more like, who do you know that would have my like school like attendance and discipline
School attendance and discipline.
form? Yeah.
What about it?
Cause I'm doing this application. I've been emailing like the, what's her name? Miss Whitehead, I think she's our school administrative assistant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's and like I eat like for my application to like Arkansas School for Math. Like I put her email under it, and she said she can't fill it out. So like I don't know who else would have my like attendance and like school discipline form.
I'm not sure either, but if I was you, I would forward that email to Leslie Ziegler. She's our like counselor for college stuff.
Counselor. Oh, this isn't a college thing though. It's like
Oh,
a
'cause there's
different school.
one.
It just requires application.
No, but it's to the college year.
Then it might be the new registrar. I'm not sure her name.
Is that what you put for?
Give me a second. I know where to find it. I emailed you the name and email to our registrar. She should be able to do something. So I would just forward her that email and ask her if she can get you your attendance stuff.
All right.
So 130 plus 100 times. starts at 130. Or starts at 100. You want the negative.
Yes.
I feel like he just doesn't like this. What do you say? So they're not really good paragraphs.
Basically.
And it's almost like such a salvation point that I never get. It takes so much off my brain.
It's not super complicated stuff. I feel like I've done stuff. No, I'm not.
I wouldn't do too much before you check your answers, just in case something's
Okay.
off. A little harder to get.
I guess like someone just
You meant 1916 too. And then you do the 32 classes.
like question 4, you gotta do like 2 parts instead of just one thing.
Yeah.
I consider that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, not 32. I have to add that to next.
Want to guess some more?
Yeah.
Make sure you start checking your answers before you get too deep into it. You don't like earbuds?
No, I like it. Look at the games, I don't like it. Any sort of thing, stay up with it. I'll wait,
That will be fun for you, that activity. I got the shit. Okay?
I accidentally did the front side first.
Oh, okay.
I don't really know how to. It's saying that.
I haven't tried that one yet. Good. Worry about the back first and then come back to it. Maybe I'll get to it by then.
Did you see that Jesse episode?
I've seen it.
Very specific. That's the big incident
That allows you to solve the code, and you can use that to solve whatever else.
No, 130. That's what I said.
That's what we're solving.
Guess I should check my answers too.
Ever since I was on the reading for that's so that's why.
I think the reading are doubles in one.
these question types, the rate's always the rate. So what's the rate up here? What's your answer? The rate's 2% the whole time. There's an easy question on the back. For these question types, it always grows at a rate proportional to size. So if the rate was 2% there, then the rate's going to be 2%. Rate. So they're just saying if you took the rate to 21%, what do you get R? Okay, so right there, you're saying the rate, I don't know if that number is right, I think the rate is 69.3%. So leave down the rate, then 10%. That sounds like something that's right. I don't know if the number's right.
She also has two different types.
They're telling you how to round it, your answer. They're asking you to solve for R and round it, that's what it's
You can't trust that.
Try not to round the R. If you round halfway through a question, your answer's going to get further and further off.
From Z.
So, yours got.
Yours has 15. Is it bigger than my forearm?
Try it again.
Did you see our
Try
skin
going
colors?
using the exact test. We're on the same question as earlier.
It's hard.
I think we're doing this wrong. I think we're just misunderstanding question 6.
You got too confident. You were saying it was too easy.
Yep, I sure did. 1 through 5 were pretty easy.
Now, they're asking you to find the growth rate within, and they're telling you how to round it. That's a whole separate thing. So you have to solve for R. Double and whatever. Then they're asking you, what is R? Round your answer to 0.1%. They're not saying that R is 0.1%.
So are we using the Are we using actual?
It's the same thing. It's just 2 to 1 and 1.
I think the solution on here is wrong.
Which one?
So you guys aren't?
Because it
I
has
don't know what question you're looking at. I
Oh.
can't see that well.
number 3. 2 might be. It says that the rate's 0.07. It says on here 0.02.
Yep. These are Trent.
Bro, I was in the bathroom and
Trent is
For
like
part
asking
B
you all
or
of
part C.
bro, I was in the bathroom and Trent was still working on number 3.
So right
I was in
here,
number
when
4.
you solve from
Probably
here
just
to
thinking
here,
about Star Wars Legends.
from this step to this step, you divided both sides by 1,000 or 10,000. No, why that became a 2.
He hears me.
But you just let your e disappear. You're skipping a step. This should be e to
That's what
this step.
that used to be.
So you still need to take the natural log of both sides. So that 2 is not a 2, it's a natural log of 2.
Miss D taught me chess.
Yeah, because I'm running for you.
So right here, it's asking for rate.
And I said from Star Wars.
I was gonna say
Did they already give us?
Let's go watch it.
Hey!
Why does it have to?
Well, it's gonna be the rate all the time.
Oh, so it's just like a trick question?
Well, not really a trick question,
I thought you were
but
saying
they're
that.
just trying to
I was
use
like,
for these questions types of
trying.
rate.
I'm getting out of here before they can solve
At the beginning, they say
Oh.
day 30.
So guys, stop me.
This team.
Grace, I'll ask him.
Okay, I reworked the back page here and I only missed one question. You guys have any guess which one I missed? I missed number 1A. I don't know what I did.
Don't you just plug that into the calculator?
I did. I must have plugged it in wrong.
Sam.
Random YouTube channel.
I just made it, but. You just got here. But I still don't understand if they. Why is the rate, or why is the time on?
You guys gonna get this finished before the end of class?
Yeah.
We're up by this day.
So for this one, you wanted what's the original?
to like 20%. So I just picked
We also need to find out how many times the original one maybe anticipated.
You haven't done half-life before. What half-life means is the amount of time it takes for you to get half as much material. So if you started off with two, half would be one, and things that so you can do that to solve for R.
So erase that.
You may notice a few of the questions on the front page, a few of those AP release questions. 2 of those were BC questions and 2 of them were Cal AB questions. But if you guys did not know, the Cal or the AP exam for BC asked some of the same questions that AB asked. So
What is the rate 1960?
okay, you guys have just a touch over 35 minutes. So if something's holding you back, you need to ask as soon as you can. I do not intend for this to be too much homework. But one other piece of advice I will give you guys, today is the only day we spend on this. Not because more practice wouldn't be good, but because your AP exam is probably only going to have 1 of these question types on it. Your next test will probably have 2 or 3 of these question types. But since we don't practice it again, sometimes students don't do great on these questions. So the only advice I can give you is make sure you review this before the next test. And while all this is fresh in your head, you might circle the questions that gave you some trouble so you know which ones to look back at a bit later on.
I'm just kidding. That's 2 points. What was your rating?
It just has like, in how many years? Is that two years?
I got 1.75.
It gives you how many years? Okay, yeah.
Because I did 3.5
Your answer on number 5B is wrong.
I don't think so.
It says in what year and not how many years. You missed them.
No, that's
in
right.
touchdown.
That's right.
In what year means in what year, not how many years.
I probably wrote that too.
It's a little extra thinking. Think about it, no hard.
Did I not write the year down there somewhere too? But you were able to figure it out, weren't you?
No, I actually moved on, and it was actually Trent who said, no, you're supposed to do it.
That's just natural language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, it's saying it's all the same.
Six point eight.
6 months.
Yeah, just substitute. At one point, I
It's the one where you have to play all the
Like-
actions.
If the rate is, and then you just substitute. Like if it's starting out with,
That's why it's
and then 6.82 times.
Oh, you're right.
Yes, probably.
You're starting from there, but you're supposed to start from there, so just add it.
Oh, is it asking? The second part is asking, like, what's the growth rate?
In 20 times and whatever hourly rate of 0.1%.
How is that current question now that you've done it back?
It's harder for sure.
What opinion, really?
I mean, 2 was a little harder. I think it was usually, like, if you look at 3 answers, they're pretty close to each other. If they could, like, last year, well, if you, like, even for the top things, like, there's always constant, like, you do 2, deposit, all stuff, and do that. It's always like.
The thing I noticed about CalTest is if there's an answer, like 2 answers that are similar, but one has something extra to it, it's probably just a chain rule in the question, and like the extra one is no answer. That's because they like to put a fake answer before you forget chain rule.
I got 8.
No, this is.
No, don't do it.
So they just want you to solve for R within 0.1%. Well, you have R at 0.69%.
Yes.
So they want you to round that one more decimal place.
0.79.
No, 69 point. They want you to round to one decimal place.
So
You're not getting-
0.67%?
No,
Right.
0.69 and then what?
That would be yours.
That would be really nice.
Yeah, 69.3%. Or if you write it as a decimal, 0.69. They're just asking you to find the rate and they're telling you how to round. Round to just one decimal place within a percent.
Okay, thank you. 80?
See if I put it on a board, I'll get bored of it. And I'm working the same amount of time.
Okay.
Exactly what you're good at. Oh, I got it.
I'll get it if it was. I don't see more like it.
Oh yeah, I put in 0.64 instead of 0.69.
Did you get 1,366 percent?
I'm trying to think.
It would be fun in the third grade.
Was it?
Short, fluff, short, 50s, 40s. Good guy.
We have
Good guy.
6. Like all 6 months that I talked to.
Yeah, lucky. Were you able to accept?
Yes.
No, I'm trying to learn.
You gotta expect.
So my standards are C. Oh, yeah.
Oh, natural log there too.
So, yeah, that's really good. That's why I was keeping us together.
Oh, yeah, you're supposed to have one. Yes, we will, because we'll need it, at the.
He's like not ready. Not ready.
Oh, okay.
I literally say that. No, but he literally texted me and was like, hey, like, I just wanted to
Yeah, that's what we do. There you go. That's
I did just said all that.
Yeah, I know.
All right, you guys are down to about 20 minutes of class.
Oh, everyone out Sorry.
So I think that's a simple question.
Yeah, so the population line grows according to the equations and the
Slows, which is the rate of growth, right? It's really just giving you the information, you just solve it. Chalk out one.
I don't understand.
So 10 is the rate, figure solve. It doubles.
Please do.
Oh, so you're just giving papers. Oh, look at that. You get 10 out of 10 full
We're just solving
credit. Let's
for
go. How much did that raise my credit? Hopefully not. $400. Oh, whoa. I knew you were up to something. You're Let's go. Raise my grade. 1%. I'll take that. At a 63, at a 64. I'm trying. Can I throw this away?
No.
Can I recycle it?
No.
That's no problem.
So what? 80,900. Check mine. It's not raised. What about this?
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything about that. You're told. If anything, no, you're smarter than me. No, you're smarter. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. You always score a little higher.
Did you put this on?
Take this mostly just guys.
Today's?
99.
I thought so. Okay, I did not. I am doing it right now though. Sorry, I forgot to open this up in Google Classroom for you to turn it in, but it should be opened now. Thank you for reminding me.
That's the first one. Wait, what is that?
She just put 16 or 16 times.
All of it?
Do we have to do the back page of this? Until we take it.
Again, as you guys finish, I would recommend turning it into Google Classroom so you don't forget about it. And while all of it's fresh in your head, circle the questions that gave you trouble. That way you know what to review later before the test.
Yeah, review exactly how to do it. What was the worst score? Wait, right here. You said that. Oh, yeah, I said that. The lower score on this one, or this one? This is the other one.
Yeah, you got a higher one. Yeah, no, it doesn't go past first. Yes, yeah, it only goes,
Oh. It's up to you. It's like. I put 45 and then 2 zeros. EV7 on assignment.
I'm barely making it like to in class. I'm like
Turn out all of it. We're put a lot. They're like one of the show your questions. Well, I mean, like, you're not gonna get any used to, like, not getting, like, one little grade, but, so, like, I just, I don't know, redo it, whatever that is. So you can't expect, like, the recordings to be perfect, huh? Like, I turned in all of my, all videos in one take, and those I care about. Like, I think I turned in my audition music in one take as well, so I don't really care. It keeps twisting, like the paper keeps twisting. See how?
Can I just hand the number 99, like physically? My camera's acting up.
I don't have it in gradebook yet, but yes, you can give me the hard copy. No, not right now.
Okay.
But at the start of the next class,
Okay.
during the bell work. I don't have it in gradebook right now, or I'd just put it in for you.
Oh my god. She sent it to me. No. What's up? Wait, all the screenshots of you can go through. How do you want to look at this recently? No, because I was going to believe that picture was good. Okay. Here, it's not even like that. What's your password? September 27th. Actually, people are worse with things. It's fine.
Okay, you guys have about 3 minutes. So if you didn't have time to finish that and get it turned in, make sure you add that to your homework list. And if you borrowed one of my calculators, please start bringing that back.